Hi there fabric jugglers, it's Babs here from Fiery Phoenix, and today I'm making myself a treat. I'm making a heat bag. Now over the last few days I've been on a number of flights back and forth to Scotland. I've been sleeping in a caravan, I've been trying to sleep on the flight, I've been sleeping in cars, and I have an incredibly painful rick in my neck. Poor me. And so I decided that I would be making myself a heat bag. This one is slightly different in that it's got partitions all the way through it. I hate when you have all the insides just falling to one giant glob at one end, and it doesn't do you any good at all because you've got a huge lump of whatever's inside the bag here and nothing around the rest of you. So this way we have partitioned it, and I've also created a casing, an envelope, simple envelope casing, out of the most gorgeous plushy minky fabric. Plus it's covered in stars, so what's not to like? Hopefully you're going to follow along with this video. If you do and it's of any use to you, please give it a thumbs up. Have a look around the rest of the channel. I upload videos on a Tuesday and a Thursday, so if you want to stay up to date with everything that is going on the channel, then please subscribe. If not, just keep popping back, see if there's something that's of use to you or of interest, and if you've got anything in particular that you'd like to have a look at, please just drop me a message in the comments below and I'll add it to my recording schedule. But for now, let's get sewing. So to start, on the inner portion of the heat bag, I have taken a full width of 100% cotton. It doesn't really matter on the style, colour or pattern of the fabric you're choosing, because what I'm doing is having an inner portion which I will then partition off to distribute the rice which I'm using for my inner more effectively, so that it doesn't all slop down to one end of the pouch and then the rest of it has nothing in it. And then I'm going to be creating a gorgeous soft plush minky outer, which will be done second. So the inner part really does not have to be pretty, it just has to be functional, which means it has to be 100% cotton so it can go into a microwave. I'm taking the full width of 42 inches, and then it is a depth of 7 to 9 inches. It's personal preference, so you can choose what it is that you're actually going for. And then all I'm going to do is simply sew up one side and then back down the other. I'm going to leave this end open for filling, and this end is the fold, so I don't need to sew across that. So I shall just get cracking with that part. I've kept the length on a 2 and a centre position for the needle, and I will simply be running the length of the fabric. Start off with a back stitch. And then do the same on the other side. So what I've done is I've made a mark. I don't know if you can see that. Yes, I've made a mark each time I want to separate into a different discrete section. I'm going to be using roughly 1 scoop of rice for each section. We don't want to overfill anything. If I'd made a small opening, what I would do is use a funnel so that I could get the rice in. But because I've left a nice big chunky opening, I'm just going to be scooping, sewing, scooping, sewing, scooping and sewing. So hopefully that'll make a bit more sense as I actually show you. So we'll put the first scoop of rice into the bag. Let that fall through to the bottom. Make sure that it is away from where you're about to sew, and that's going to be a nice little padding section. And then we simply sew that over. Just a single run of stitches just to hold that rice in place. And make sure, you really want to make sure that there is no rice under the needle. We don't want to risk a broken needle. We just want to have a nicely padded bag. And this can be all very approximate, it doesn't have to be exact at all. And you go with the longer stitch as well. Just make sure the rice is out of the way. And that's the first little pouch sewn. So now on to the second. So now we have completed each of the pockets within this bag. I'm just going to finish off the final one and then sew it shut. So we'll just pop in the last portion of rice and then sew this closed. And because this is the final one, I'm just going to do a double stitch, a reverse stitch at either end, just because I don't want any rice escaping. And there we have our completed inner bag. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but it is functional. And there is rice in each and every portion of this bag. So as you wrap it around yourself, that should give you a much more even distribution of heat. Now the next portion is to create the outer casing. And what I'm going to do for this is simply create an envelope casing, although using this lovely minky plush, as long as I keep the selvages intact, I won't actually need to then hem those and end up with a nice clumpy portion. I can just sew them over each other like this to give that envelope closure, where I can slide the bag through inside. So we'll turn this the wrong way out and then align it for sewing. So we want the big star on the outside, so that needs to go underneath in the middle. And everything else can just even out. And then we simply sew down one side and then sew down the other. Again with a larger stitch. And back stitch at the beginning and end. And what we need to do is just to double check that the width is going to take the bag, which it quite clearly is, so that's lovely. And now we can sew back down the other side. Fluff flying everywhere, because this is plush, this is minky, and that unfortunately is what always happens when you work with plush or minky. You get fluff snowstorms. However, once the fabric has been washed, the snowstorm ends. So it's not something you need to worry about going forward, or when you give it as a gift to somebody. It's merely a problem for the sewer. Again, just make sure that you line up the envelope closure so that it is all as you're expecting it to be, rather than at an angle or sloppy. And we can just finish that off when not forgetting the back stitch at the end. So now I turn it the correct side out. And we can insert the pad. And there you have a very soft, very luxurious feeling heat pad.